You're welcome back from that short commercial break. You're still watching Smart 24 TV, and this is Business Today. The financial market has endured fluctuation challenges for the private sector. Loan access and other financial services have still been affected. Tonight, Fred Makubia interacts with Dr. Clark Chisembo to understand the factors that have been influencing the shift.
Well, it is a pleasure, and once again, thank you for finding time to join us on this coffee court where we ask the critical questions. The coffee court digests matters of national importance. For sure, one of the fundamental questions we've been asking ourselves whether it is possible for anybody, especially tycoons, to run any enterprise without a loan. But most importantly, how do we acquire these loans? What is it that you and I must be able to know? Dr. Clark Chisembo is in charge of Development Associate Link, continues the discussion. Doctor, thank you for speaking to us.
Thank you so much, Fred, and a very good evening, our viewers.
We talk about a loan. What is this?
When we are describing a loan is, I would say, an item. I'll call it an item that you borrow from an entity or from someone with the intention of using it to benefit from an opportunity, but you'll have to pay it back. And when you're paying it back, you pay it with the cost of having the person having foregone this item for that time, because that cost is a risk, which is called interest.
So can you borrow a building? Can you borrow a plot of land? Because you called it an item.
Yes, because you've heard of people who lease land and then they go to cultivate and they produce acreages of maize, of coffee. So technically, that is not their land, but they have leased their land, maybe for a season or two, and they pay for using that land. So meaning that you're borrowing the land of another person, but the cost of what you're doing or using that land is what you pay to this person. Same as a building. You can borrow a building in order to utilize it to acquire income or to use it for your business, and promise or commit to pay the dues towards the cost of you utilizing that building at a future date. Okay. And because you promise a future date, the owner will come back to the issue of the risk or the opportunity cost. Why did I let to you the building and not Henry? So that is the markup or interest that you have to put.
Okay, and good enough when you talk about the why. A loan goes through a number of processes. Talk about the application, the acquisition, the servicing. In between there, yes, of course, issues continue to emerge, and then how do we close? To be more particular, how do I apply for a loan, and what are those critical things that I must give attention to as a person who is applying for the loan?
So you need to, first and foremost, before you even apply for the loan, I would like to caution all our viewers, be sure that you know the reason why you're applying for a loan.
Is there anyone who goes for a loan without having no reason?
It's possible. It's possible. You feel you have collateral, you need some money on you, you go and apply for a loan, and you put the money in the house. And at a certain point, when you feel like you want to use it randomly, just or impulsively, you spend. But remember that you've borrowed this money at a cost. But in most cases, you take a loan or borrow money in order to gain more out of it, facilitate a business to grow, or get you out of a rough situation. That you'll take a loan because your business is not doing well, so it will facilitate passing through the rough waters, but also knowing that you'll have to pay back at a certain point. Okay. But you asked about the processes. The process.
Let's begin with the application before you actually get to the process.
Yes.
The application part of it is that very critical, especially for me, who is applying for that.
So the starting point is identifying which institution, because many of us, there's lots of adverts on TV, on radio, print, about different financial institutions. And you may walk into any and say, I need to borrow money. But it is advised that you visit like 5 institutions before you decide on which one to apply.
Why all those institutions?
Because one is that you need one that will give you a very good, the cost of money is low, which means that the interest is low. Then 2, it is closer to your need. Now, the application is, of course, you express your interest in having this money, which means that you're given a loan application form from the identified institution, no matter whether it's tier 1, 2, 3, regulated by the central bank, or tier 4, those under UMRA. But you get this application form, fill it out, reason for the loan, how are you going to pay, and what collateral. When I talk about collateral is what do you have which can stand in case you default, which we can convert to money to pay back the loan. So that's more of an application. So you express your interest in a loan. So when you express your interest in a loan, of course, a loans officer, relationship officer, or manager, or credit officer will review it, and they'll ask you for some more detail of information about yourself. Where do you stay? Do you rent? Do you own a house? Are you married? Are you single? You may ask, why do they ask that question?
And why do they go that detailed?
Yeah, that detail is because they are building a profile on you. They are trying to profile you.
That's not important. What is important?
It is very important, because a person who is renting can wake up one day and leave the rental and goes and rent somewhere else. But a person who owns the place, it's sad for them to leave. It's just like, and this is not to disrespect anyone. It's just like singles can wake up and end up anywhere at any time. Not that marrieds can't, but marrieds are more stable in an area, you know, and also management of specific affairs. You don't get a loan without having management skills. You must have skills to manage this loan, to know that this is money specifically for a specific purpose, but I have to pay it back. How am I going to pay it back? So they profile you And after getting that profile, do you have a national ID? Are you above 18? If you're a minor, below 18, you must have a guardian, who's a parent, or an elder person who will guarantee the bank that they'll walk with you the journey until you are of age to make your own decisions on that account. So that's more of the application process.
So do I also have the liberty to ask the same questions to the financial institution?
Yes.
Now that they can ask me all the details pertaining me.
Yes.
Do I also have the same audacity and the capacity to ask the same?
It is very important that you ask questions, because remember that they are asking questions so as to fulfill what they call a KYC. Know your client or know your customer. They want to know you.
So now
But
that they
now, what you ask that, what about you? If they know about you, can you ask them?
do I have the liberty to ask?
You have the liberty, though not everyone asks.
So what are those critical questions that I can ask?
The critical questions is, how capitalized are you? What assets do you own? As
me who
as
needs
financial
just 2 million, I ask a loan officer.
Even if it's 100,000,
I can even ask for the financial statement of that bank.
you may not get the financial statement, but they may give you an indication of transactions per day and transactions per week, but you may not get the statement, because the statement, that is a very confidential document. But remember that every bank or institution, financial institution, and most of them declare their books of accounts. They have annual and annual performance in the gazette, in the newspaper. You've seen them. This is our performance to the public, to the world. This is our performance. We have improved, we have grown, or we've made losses, or we've written off a certain debt. So all this is public information to gain more confidence. You see, if an institution wants to get confidence of the customers, they should be open, transparent, accountable. So if I'm a customer and I ask you a question, who owns this bank? And
I can ask all those questions.
yeah, who owns this bank?
Me who is in need.
Yeah, who are the directors? Such that I be confident that I'm dealing with a reputable institution. But tradition and culture has made us feel that when you need a loan, you're on the receiving end.
A beggar has no choice.
So you are a beggar who has no choice.
That is the fact.
Which should not be that way. Actually, if I were to recreate, I would put it the other way around. That there is no financial institution without borrowers. Even if you have depositors, you're going to keep their money at what percentage? Very little interest. But the borrowers are your major customers, major clients.
So without the borrowers, the bank cannot survive.
It may survive, but not sustainably. Because the depositors, you imagine depending on only deposits, that people bring their deposits. So you're doing more of keeping for them. But you're not making enough money because you're keeping for them for a very little interest, say like 0.05%. Yet, if a borrower comes, you're going to say 16 to 20%. If you want money, you're going to pay 16 to 20% on this money. The bank is making money. So without a borrower, people not taking loans. Banks are so silent, they are almost, there is no performance, there is no activity.
So now that I have a say,
Yes.
can I debate the interest?
Could you?
Can I debate the interest of a bank?
Yes, you could. You have the liberty to negotiate. Because remember that the bank has a threshold. Remember that they are regulated. The 3 tiers, these ones here, which are regulated by the central bank, they have a threshold. These institutions have thresholds of you can't come to disrupt the market by bringing your interest so low, because you'll make other banks lose clients because your interest is so low. So there is an interest rate below which you can't go. And if the client pushes you down to that threshold, the minimum, for some reason, if they're asking for bulk monies, it may go down. But also, there is that space for negotiation. It's not casting stone that when the bank says 21, 24%, that okay, that is it. You also ask, but isn't this negotiable? I mean, isn't this too high? And they should give you an answer. That's why are they at 24 and another bank is at 21%? So you have a right to ask about what you're taking. Remember that the burden of the loan is yours. The day you walk out of that financial institution with a loan approval, and most borrowers may not know this, you have about 24 hours to think through and go back and tell them, I don't want your loan.
So I can get the loan today,
Yeah?
and after 3 hours I can say, but I've changed my mind.
Yeah, you can.
Where? In Uganda.
It's in the law. It's in the law. Right now, if I go and the loan is approved, I go home, think through it, sleep over it, or I get a call from somebody who had my money, and I'm a business person. I needed money to service my business, cash flows, and I went to the bank. Within 24 hours, I can call them tomorrow morning and tell them, you know what, I've changed my mind.
Having used their money and then you pretend that you no longer need the loan.
It doesn't matter. Bottom line is that there's a timeline for me to make a decision. To make a decision, I need to be in the right state of mind. I'll tell you that I applied because I was on intense pressure to keep my business afloat. But the day you approve the loan, those who had my money, my debtors, they paid. They paid, and so I don't need your money. And that is at zero cost, by the way, within that time period. This, many people don't know, but it's in the law. And it's even in those agreements, just that people don't read the agreements. People are so excited. The day a loan is approved, the day they put a signature, the excitement is too much and happiness that they'll just flip through and sign, which is also, I think, in other sessions shall look at what is the risk to the borrower.
And definitely that will be the foundation to our next area of discussion. I know loan acquisition
Yes.
is actually a process. It's not a one-day activity. You're but in short, especially on matters regarding loan application and acquisition. Dr. Clark.
I would say that applying or acquiring a loan is not evil. It's not bad, because it will help you in times of need, especially for business community but also those who are not in business. At times you don't have money, but you have an item like this chair, but you need cash, you need cash flow, you need to feed the family. So the financial institutions are there to help during that need. However, I also caution, try to understand the conditions under which you're borrowing, because I don't want you to fall prey of poverty because of borrowing from a financial institution. Thank you.
And the next time we meet, that definitely I know we will, that will stem the beginning of our discussion. Dr. Clark Chisemba, thank you for finding time to speak to us.
Thank you, sir.
He's in charge of development associate link. And definitely next time we meet, we'll be discussing the other processing that is to do with servicing a loan. And then if there are issues that emerge in between there, how do we handle? Next time we meet, that will be our discussion. This is the Coffee Court, and my name is Fred Makuya.
That conversation about loan acquisitions will lead us to the end of Business Today. But before we do that, let's look at what made the headlines of Business Today.
In Business Today, coffee farmers still determined as they demand government to intervene on market prices, poor output linked to low-quality seedlings. Natural fraud damage incites reactions from market players and police. 42.4% of losses attributed to impersonation and 31.9% to cybercrime. Public procurement players decide on contract management and delivery system as the 14th Regional Forum concludes.
Many thanks for joining us for this particular bulletin. I'm Rona Nahabwe with Winnie Wiyinzanaka, which on the sign language interpretation. If you miss any of the stories, you can watch on our YouTube channel at Smart24 Live and follow on our social media platforms, that is Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and the like, about more about business. You have a lovely night and a lovely weekend.
Smart24, driving business.
Up next on Smart24 TV.